Well, thanks for tuning into India Market Close. By the way, some flashes on your screen. Sumitomo Chemicals and a 9% uptick in revenue, but I reckon that the operational metrics might have pleased the street, as a result of which that stock is really zooming in trade. The net profit is up 34.4% at 192 crores, and Sumitomo Chemicals is up 7.5% as we speak. The intraday would help. Just very quickly, just mark this one, where the stock is buzzing as the flashes are on your screen. So good, solid move for a company back with results. Look at that spike there. The last 1 week, we've been hit by companies which are come out with weak numbers and the stocks are plummeting. This is good to see. Nevertheless, the markets done well. When we were doing India Market Open, at that point of time, the Nifty had flattened out completely. Right here, right? Flattened out completely. Now, not at the high point of the day, but doing okay for itself. And ICICI Bank and some others are to be given the credit here. Very well the stock of the ICICI Bank. In fact, let's pull up the heat map and show you what's moving and what's not on the large cap end of the market. This is a good solid day for large cap. So, result disappointments getting beaten, Coal India. Then it may well be the case that people are really impressed with what ICICI Bank is doing. 3.5% higher. Some of the other banks have taken it on the stick, including HDFC Bank. But beyond that, I think the 1% move is also broadened out because there is an Adani Enterprises up 4.5%. Auto is making a bit of a comeback. There is a bit of strength in JSW Steel and Tata Steel and Hindalco as well. So metals have not done too badly. And Shriram Finance is holding out. So all in all, a broader rally today. And Tamanna, not too many losers. And at least not too many losers with weightage, save for HDFC Bank, which is probably also aiding the rally today.
Would it be safe to say that we have indeed brought in the Diwali cheer to D Street by starting our celebrations on NDTV profit? Let's go ahead and say that. Because,
why not?
I mean, the change in the mood is astonishing.
Palpable.
We should actually pull up Nifty contributors for a second before we bring in the breadth of the market as well. Because truly, I mean, yes, ICICI Bank was doing well from the morning. We'd called it Shriram Finance. We called it as a positive set of numbers. But the way M&M has roared in, and this is the point that Niraj was making, that it's a broad-based rally, at least as far as the Nifty is concerned, because 152 points being contributed in the others category. Let's pull up the advanced decline ratio just to give you a sense of the market breadth. Is this just a Nifty and Sensex story? Not quite, because look at the yawning gap over here. It's 1:3 almost. Advances to declines at this point and getting even broader. So you've seen an up move, a sharp up move from the markets, in the markets mid-morning onwards. Let's pull up the broader indices, the mid-cap and the small-cap indices, to see if they've joined the party. Yes, indeed, they have. The Nifty mid-cap 150 up there. Small cap up about 1.5%. And remember, here's where the maximum damage had taken place. Bank Nifty also one of the winners today. If you pull up sectoral indices, you'll get that sense. Bank Nifty up over 1%. So it's definitely a strong morning. PSU banks, metals, realty. So you're seeing all of it, everything except the India Wix in the green, which is always good news. All right, specific stocks, and it's all about results. These are some that didn't do too well. Interglobe, Chola Finance, Coal India, Credit Access, Grameen. You're seeing result impact there, 8% down. I mean, Interglobe really is the story over here. Why is India's largest airline with over 65% market share seeing such a huge knock? We should talk about it in a little more detail on the show. Chola Holdings, the other one, about 4% down. Coal India, Credit Access, Grameen, all of them reacting to their results over between 3 and 4% down right now. In terms of upswing, Sirma, Motilal Oswal, Bank of Baroda, Bandhan. I mean, Sirma truly the winner of the day. We spoke to the management as well, 14.5% up. Motilal Oswal and that whole pack of capital markets players doing well, obviously courtesy all of the investors, Indian investors who have come in, 8.5% up on Motilal Oswal. Bank of Baroda, Bandhan, some banking stocks which have done well. Bandhan is another big winner today, 8% up, 8.5% up in trade. So good numbers being rewarded. Niraj, and BHEL, well spun, some of the other numbers that have just come in, also doing fairly well. It's all about timing, right? So right now, good numbers hitting in a purple patch for the markets.
Yeah, and I think the common thread seems to be, Tamanna, that some of them have got good margin performance to themselves. In BHEL's case, 106 crores profit versus a loss. Forever being touted as a stock which has gotten an order book but not showing profits. I think BHEL deserves a mention here because the profitability numbers look very impressive. I would reckon that the operational metrics in BHEL too could have been okay. So revenues ahead of estimates. I think there is an EBITDA performance which is strong, and there is markets which are, and then the bottom line numbers looking very, very solid for BHEL as well. Let's get in our experts to talk about the scenario today. And actually, Kunal, Senior Technical and Derivative Analyst at Sharekhan, joins us. Kunal, before I talk about the indices, just a quick word on BHEL or a Sumitomo or a Welspun Living, stocks which have come out with results and are getting duly rewarded, particularly BHEL.
Yeah, I think particularly if you talk about BHEL, the stock has seen a good amount of beating from the higher levels. Yes, in today's trading session, we have seen buying because of the result action, but still the stock is trading below its 20 DMA, which is the short-term moving average. It needs to surpass that mark, which is trading at 256. So still the 20-day moving average is quite a bit far. If we sustain above that, then probably we can see that the worst for the stock is over, and then we can see some higher levels of 320, 330 coming in. So at the current levels, yes, we have seen a spot, but how much does it sustain? That is more important. So in today's trading session, if we close above yesterday's high, that is 228, then probably one can take a long trade and look for targets of 245, 250 on the upside.
Such a chalk and cheese performance by BHEL over the quarters. Sure, they had a profit of 490 crores in March 24, but they had a loss of 211 crores in June, and therefore this optimism is working well. As we speak, of course, Heidelberg numbers, and those numbers don't look that great, unfortunately, but BHEL is seriously packing a punch. Okay, Kunal, what about the index though? Good, solid number on the markets today. It's been stable, if you will. Or maybe off a little bit from the highs of the day, but still relatively stable. Is there a long trade that you can take, or would you rather believe this is a sell on rise?
Yeah, I'll just add on some data points over here, Niraj. The rally which we started from 24,000 to that 26,300 on the upside. If I take the Fibonacci retracement, the 0.786% retracement comes at 24,400 mark. On Friday's trading session, we broke that level, but in today's trading session, again, we are trying to reclaim that level. So for me, the closing for Nifty in today's trading session will be very, very important. If we close about 24,450, that's the level which I'm watching for. If we are closing above that mark, then probably we are heading toward 24,600 and even 750 on the upside. So even from the current levels, you can have a 350 points rally on the upside. However, if that doesn't happen in today's trading session, my stake is that wait for tomorrow's trading session. Don't try to hurry up. If in the early opening minutes, if we surpass that 24,450 mark decisively and sustain above it, then probably we can take a long trade from those levels again for 300 points upside rally. So clear cut at the current levels, we are in somewhere in between. We need to wait and watch where does the market close and how does the market react probably tomorrow, and then probably we can take a trade. So two instances I would like to point out here. First, either just the market is about to end before that, if it is closing about 24,450, take a long trade, go home, or else wait for tomorrow, see if the market in the initial 10 to 15 minutes is sustaining about 24,450. If that is the case, one can initiate long position.
Take a long break and go home. Kunal, party is just starting.
Yeah, if 24,450 is taken out, we can have some at least a relief rally till 24,700, 750 on the upside.
Okay. So 24,700 is where you think the relief rally starts. What are the stocks that you're looking at this afternoon?
So firstly, I would like to highlight the stock of PEL, that is Piramal Enterprise. In today's trading session, it has seen a cut down of open interest of 10%, clearly indicating there's a short covering in the stock. Plus, the stock is trading above yesterday's high and surpasses short-term moving average, that is of the 20-day. So clear-cut bullish indication. From the current levels, the stock can go up to 1120. So that's the target on the higher end. One can keep a stop loss of 1040 on the downside. The second stock where I'm focusing on the long side over here is Samvardhan Motherson. In today's trading session, the stock has seen good amount of buying from the lower levels. The stock has been relatively stable. The correction has been relatively stable compared to what the other mid cap, small cap stocks have seen. So clear cut relative strength is visible in the stock. We can go higher towards 200 on a short term basis. So one can initiate long positions at the current levels, keeping a target of 200 and looking and keep a stop loss of 186 on the downside.
Okay, Sun Pharma numbers have just come in and they look decent on the face of it. Net profits has beaten estimates at 3,040 crores versus estimates of 2,932 crores. Bit of a spike there, about 2.5% up. Revenues are tad below estimates, or yeah, in line largely. But the net profit number is looking good. So Sun Pharma in focus. Kunal, Sun Pharma, Motilal Oswal, Sirma. These three stocks, if they are on your radar?
Yes, if I would like to pick the order, I think Motilal stands out at the current levels as well. I think the structure is quite bullish, even in a weak market. If I look at the long-term chart, the high top, high bottom structure is still intact, which clearly indicates that the stock is trading in a strong uptrend. We can again expect the stock to go towards that four-figure mark of 1,000. So 1,010 would be the target on the upside in the short term. One can keep a stop loss of 920 on the downside.
Kunal, what are the recommendations that you are making in the session today?
So I think the recommendation.
PEL, you mentioned PEL,
yes.
but my question is, so those are amongst the two which haven't quite rallied from stocks which have rallied today. So let's say I'm giving you three names: ICICI Bank, let's say Shriram Finance, and Adani Enterprises. These are the top three gainers on the index. Would you make a recommendation on any of those?
Yes, 100%. I would make a recommendation on Shriram Finance. I think in today's trading session, the kind of volume-based buying what we have seen, the stock today's high what it has made is the resistance of the 20 DMA. I'm expecting that to be taken out in tomorrow's trading session. So again, there will be a more short covering move that would what we can see in the stock as well. So even from the current levels, if I see 150 points rally can be visible in the stock even from the current levels. So 3280 is where it is trading. I can expect the stock to go towards 3450 on the upside. On the lower end, the support is now placed at 3180, 3200 zone. So till the time the support is not breached, I'll be bullish on the stock.
Okay, well, that's the word on Shriram Finance. 6% higher. So Shriram Finance, Motilal Oswal, Piramal Enterprises, a cluster of those financial names standing out for Kunal. And I'm not surprised, simply because there is some bit of optimism today in financials, led no doubt by the big boy ICICI Bank, up about 3.5% across the board. Brokerages have gone out and said that they believe that this is a good one to look at. So really good going by ICICI Bank. Vijay Chopra is with us as well. Vijay, we've got the technical view on ICICI Bank. Before Harsh comes in and tells us what the street has thought of it, a fundamental view from your end on ICICI Bank. Would you be a buyer here? Why or why not?
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. My sense is that there are very few banks who have posted good results. ICICI is one of them, one of the banks. I think that it has done better than other peers, even HDFC. So I would say if somebody wants to buy it with a medium-term perspective, wait for about 1250 odd levels for a target of about 1400. We had the results of Indian Bank today, which was stupendous. I think that Indian Bank is also one bank which we also have. This is a disclaimer. We also have in the clients' accounts. But yes, even from here, it looks very good for a up move of close to about 70-80 rupees. So there are pockets of excellence for sure. And these markets are such markets that you need to do your own research. It's not that, left, right, and center, buy banks, and that's it. So look for better options. Amongst all the banks, even now, I think there's a good opportunity in SBI. SBI is looking fantastic on the charts. And I think that, SBI should do well, even with the results. So I would say that, you have to be very choosy. Today is a classical day of a short covering where people get confused whether the buying has come back or it's a short covering. I think it's a short covering, and it would probably propel further for the next couple of days. But yes, we have to be very cautious and very choosy on the stocks we pick.
Hi Vijay, good afternoon. Tamanna here. So you're saying this is classic short covering. The question is that are we going to see a sort of a one-way move upwards, or you're spotting some winners here, and which ones are those?
As I said, Tamanna, we're starting with banking. what happened with IndusInd Bank. 20% downside on IndusInd Bank is on Friday. So today, I think that all the banks which we are seeing up, or all the sectors we are seeing green. This doesn't mean that the worst is over, or there might be no other corrections. Whenever short coverings happen, it carries on for a few days. So I would say that this would continue. If you're asking me what sectors I would be investing in, as I said earlier, I think I recommended DLF very strongly. They've launched a new project. So I like real estate, especially the premium ones, because premium ones are selling. The rich are getting richer, and that is one of the reasons why we are seeing these all these super premium projects. They are sold like hotcakes. So one sector is real estate, the other is IT, and I think that good metal companies, good mining companies. I like NMDC a lot. I like Hindustan Zinc a lot. I've recommended it, I think, on your Diwali show as well. Banking, SBI, I've already mentioned. DLF, I've already mentioned. And, another company which I like is CDSL. All the companies we are seeing, Motilal Oswal, they are posting good results. Companies which are related to capital markets. And irrespective whether the market goes up or down, these people make money. These companies make money. CDSL is one of those companies which is going to anyway make money, because every exit from the, from the depository, would attract a fee, and they are making big money there. So the bottom line, the cash register keeps on ringing all the time, and these people make money. So CDSL is one stock which I think is a potential multi-bagger, and one should keep in the portfolio. This might even double up if somebody holds it for
so CDSL looks good. Meanwhile, look at what the Nifty PSU Bank is doing. Let's pull up the intraday as well. Indian Bank now 12% up. Canara Bank, Central Bank, Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda, of course, thanks to its numbers, but the Nifty PSU index doing really well. I mean, these have been a bucket of, I would say, not very loved stocks for the last few weeks. Anything here that you're looking at, Kunal, especially an Indian bank? And let's talk a bit about a Bank of Baroda as well.
Yeah, I think I'll talk about Bank of Baroda here. I think the chart looks very interesting at the current levels. We can say that the correction what the stock had in the recent time, that has been completed, and now the stock is likely to resume its uptrend. So in today's trading session, if you specifically see on the technical chart, there was a falling trend line which we broke out in today's trading session with volumes. So clear cut, the trend has changed for the stock. The stock is likely to fill up a gap what it had formed earlier. That gap is placed at around 270. So 250 is where currently the stock is trading. So clearly 20 bucks from the current levels could be easily achievable in the stock. So Bank of Baroda would be a buy over here. And now the support for the stock is at 240. So as long as 240 is not reached, I will be bullish on the stock. 270 is what I'm looking in the short term.
Stock of the day and top stock is definitely ICICI Bank. Harsh is joining us for this spotlight on the back of a strong second quarter. The winners and the losers being sorted out very, very clearly this quarter in the BFSI space. Harsh, and ICICI Bank coming out on top?
Absolutely, Tamanna. Stellar set, and let's talk about asset quality, because that's the one metric which is absolutely in focus this quarter. You've seen provisioning sub 1300 crore versus the 1450 crore as per our estimates that the number was expected at. So not just provisioning, but GNPA and NPA ratios came in better, and therefore overall, just in terms of comfort, in terms of asset quality and processes, it just clearly demarcated how ICICI has been doing very well on that metric. Not just that, growth too was extremely strong. 4% on a sequential basis on the loan growth front, 5% on deposits, and that's the other metric which has really stood out, because over the last few quarters deposit growth has come under pressure, and this kind of a growth number not only eases the burden on loan to deposit ratio, which has been a burden on the system, but also shows that ICICI is able to shore up deposits very, very well in a very competitive environment. So gives a lot of comfort. The only possible negative is the margin number coming in at 4.27%. It's a 9 basis point drop on a sequential basis, but growth more than making up for it, and contained OPEX leading to that 2.4% best in class ROA.
Okay. So ICICI Bank in the winners list, so is Shriram Finance, to be honest. I mean, what an up move there on Shriram Finance coming in and aided in a large part by what their vehicle loans are doing. Vijay, if you had to choose in the top private banks and rate in order of preference, ICICI, HDFC and let's say Axis, how would that order fall? I mean, there's lots to add today actually. I should be honestly asking about a Yes Bank as well. But all right, let's start with these three.
Yes Bank, a strict no. So my, hands down ICICI Bank first, followed by HDFC. These are top two banks and I think that I would go with them. I think that, other banks need to work a lot. Even IDFC, I was going through the numbers, they are absolutely, disheartening the way banks have been working. Yes, the NBFCs and banks have a lot of things, and there are small finance banks, and there is a lot of lot of stuff happening on the internet as well. People are not keeping money in the banks; they're keeping money in their wallets. So this has also drifted away a lot of deposits from the bank. So I would say that be with ICICI Bank, the top bank in the private space, and if at all somebody wants to buy a PSU, I think SBI hands down the first choice.
SBI hands down indeed the first choice. Okay, on the PSU side. Okay, charging ahead is BHEL though. Let's change tracks and look at that, because that one, though it's off the highs of the day, you have to admit. Mika is here to tell us what went behind these numbers. Mika, it's not that BHEL has posted a profit after a while and it keeps on doing this. Loss, profit. How has this quarter number been? What has led to this uptick?
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers because we have limited details right now. Revenue is up 28.5% on a year-on-year basis to over 6,500 crores, which have beaten the street estimates by 12%. The revenue growth was mainly driven by the industry segment, where revenue saw 47% uptick, but the power segment also saw growth of 23.4%, and this is all on an annual basis. The EBITDA profit came at 275 crore rupees versus an EBITDA loss of 154 crore a year ago. EBITDA margin stand at 4.2%, and the company posted a net profit of 106 crore versus net loss a year ago, and this net profit was also ahead of the 83 crore loss estimate as per the streets. Now more details are to come. We'll listen to the con call highlights, we'll wait for the investor presentations, but one of the BHEL was the talk of the town even last quarter. We had a whole bull versus bear situation coming on. Their order book as of Q1 stood high at 1.3 lakh crores, but it was the order execution that was the concern or the question mark. So as and when we get more details, we'll provide it, but seems to be that revenue has seen an uptick, means some orders have been executed this quarter.
Okay, but the stock is now cooled off, of course, so bear that in mind, because it's not a cheap stock. Mika, thanks for that. Remember, it's not a cheap stock. Now, March 2024, the company's done a profit after tax of 300 crores. It is trading at a market capitalization of 77,000 crores. That's like over 200 times or 300 times or what have you. So it's not a very cheap stock, and hence I think sustaining some of these financials would be important for BHEL. By the way, the street is not rewarding all margin expansions. JBM Auto on your screen, the numbers have looked okay, but the stock is down about 1% because the revenues and the net profit numbers don't look all that great in terms of growth. Single-digit growth out there, so nothing too great. Also, what is not too great is Interglobe Aviation, because the stock skid in trade and has stayed low after posting a weak quarter, and more importantly, the commentary around Q3 not the best either. My colleague Puneet is with us. Puneet, troubled times, if you say, for Indigo.
Interglobe Aviation is active in trade today after reporting a surprise loss in its quarter 2 earnings. While revenues grew about 14% to come in roughly at 16,900 odd crores, EBITDA was flat at 2,400 odd crores, but the loss in this particular quarter came at roughly about 987 crores versus a profit of about 189 crores the company reported in the same time last year. But what led to this particular loss is the higher expenses that the company had in this particular quarter. Now the EBITDA also missed by roughly 46% the consensus Bloomberg estimates, and this is because the total expenses in this particular quarter grew by 21%. When you look at which were the key expenses, the supplementary rentals as well as aircraft repair grew by roughly about 30% in this particular quarter, roughly about 2,700 odd crores, while employee costs were also up 21%, coming in at 1,800 odd crores, and airport fees and charges grew by a whopping 41% in this particular quarter, coming in at roughly around 1,300 odd crores. Now, Nuvama has downgraded the stock. They have a hold rating on the stock, and they've said that the valuations are now 1.5 times its global peers and have now been out of whack. They've also said that the slowing demand as well as overcapacity is some of the key concerns for Indigo. September to November flight schedules also showed that there has been a domestic market share loss for the company as well. Apart from that, the relentless promoter selling in Indigo has been one of the key overhangs of the stock as well. And going forward, it'll be interesting to see because the company is also moving from a LCC model to a hybrid model, which might raise risk as well. They've also said that they're cutting EPS estimates as well as EBITDA estimates by roughly about 14 and 7% for the next 2 years, which is FY25 and 26. And they've revised down the EV to EBITDA valuation to 8 times from 9 times earlier to get a price target of about 4,400. That's the key thing, a surprise loss, which is, that's the reason why Indigo is down in trade today.
Okay, so this is why Interglobe is feeling the pain. Vijay, I want to come to you on this because, if you see a lot of brokerages are not negative per se on Interglobe, but the street has definitely seen something to be concerned about. Vijay, that's for you.
So the kind of results Interglobe has posted, I am really surprised because whenever you go to the airports, the flights are full. There might be certain because revenue-wise, I'm not worried that much because they are making revenue. What is happening to the profits? So is the operational efficiency which Interglobe used to have going down? Yes, this could be one of the reasons. Secondly, as mentioned by your colleague, that the promoters have been relentlessly selling. So why is that? Why are the promoters exiting? So this is also something what the street doesn't take easily, or it doesn't digest so easily. But yes, I think that this correction was kind of overdue also. Last 1 year, the stock has gone up almost from 20, doubled up actually. So if at all that stock corrects about 20-30%, I won't be surprised. That the Interglobe again comes maybe around say 3,200, 3,100 levels, and from there we can start buying. We definitely saw a stretch in the valuations across the board, across sectors. Interglobe is one of the reasons. But yes, I think that operational efficiencies have gone down, and that's why there is some leakage of revenues and profits. Because airplanes all over, I keep on traveling quite often, practically every week. I don't see much empty seats in Interglobe. So there must be certain things which they need to correct, and they should put their house in order so that profitability is in place.
Kunal, what about Interglobe? Are you seeing an opportunity here?
Yeah, I think at the current levels, if you look at today's low for Interglobe Aviation, that is 3,780, and if you look at the budget day low for that, and that is at 3,768. So clearly, it is respecting that budget day low. For me, the stock is trading just around the 200 DMA. I would be a buyer on dips in this. 3,900 to 3,850. This could be the ideal zone in which one can buy Interglobe Aviation. Again, 3,800 could act as a very strong support on the downside, and again look for targets of 4,050 to 4,200 on the upside. So I'll be a buyer, not at the current price, but around 3,900 could be a good risk to reward ratio what we'll be getting.
Around 3,900 you would come in. Well, some distance from there, although 7.5% down off the day's lows though. We'll take a very short break. We're coming back with the top BTST call and also a strategy for the rest of the week. Stay tuned. festive cheer here at NDTV Profit. We hope you are too. The markets definitely are. Nifty off its highs at this point, but no complaining on what has been a very substantial pullback after the drubbing of a week. Can it continue or not really is the question. Kunal, let me come to you on, what would be the top trades you'd look at for the closing portion of the afternoon. Little early for BTST, but what's on your radar?
Yeah, I think NMDC is something which is looking very strong on the charts. I think from the current levels, we can easily see a more 3 to 4% upside over here. So NMDC would be a buy from the current levels. 227 is where the stock is trading. Probably you can look at a range of 227 to 225, where you can accumulate the stock, keeping a stop loss of 221 and looking for targets of 233 to 240 on the upside.
Okay, NMDC is one of the top picks, but as part of our Diwali special programming, we have been giving you what the top cracker stocks are. We spoke to 3 voices from the market and asked them about their top picks for Samvat 2081. Harsh has that list with him. Harsh, what are the Fataka stocks of this season?
Yes, absolutely. Let me first start off with Vijay Chopra's picks because he's right here with us. I want to start off with his. Metals, defense is what he likes. He also likes IT and luxury products. Hindustan Zinc, HAL and DLF are his top 3 picks. Let me talk about Deven Choksi's views. He likes IT and within that he likes Tata Technologies. Something in the lending space he likes is Bajaj Housing Finance post the IPO, and Geo Finance as well is something that he really likes, Deven Choksi. Amisha Vora's views from Prabhudas Leeladhar, well, she likes Divi's Labs, which has had a phenomenal run. She continues to like Trent, even at these valuations. Praj Engineers is the other one, along with Tech Mahindra, which she seems to like, again, within the IT pack and larger cap IT pack. And HDFC AMC is her last pick within all of her top picks. So 5 picks coming in from her.
Okay, so those are your top 6 picks. Vijay, some of your picks are also on that list. Anything that you want to add there? And how are you looking at a Bharti, Airtel and also an Adani end ahead of their numbers?
Yeah, well, I think that Bharti has done very well in the last, few quarters. And I think that, it has corrected a bit. Probably if the numbers start looking up, I would be a buyer in Bharti. If the numbers are good, again, I'm giving a disclaimer. As far as Adani Enterprises is concerned, I think that the stock has seriously corrected, in the last few sessions, almost from 3,200 to 2,700, 500 rupees loss. But even on the technical charts, I'm not very happy the way charts are looking. So I would stay, away from Adani Enterprises. And there are, as you asked me, that, what else do you like? I think that there are good opportunities to buy a stock like Iron Exchange, which is into water treatment and management. Iron Exchange is looking very good. My sense is that, the crude oil prices would come down eventually in the next few months. So, Kansai Nerolac is another stock which I like. I also like NMDC Steel, which is Nagarnar Steel, an offshoot of NMDC. The company is extremely profitable now, and from losses it has come to profits. They have a fantastic plant in Nagarnar. So I think that at these levels, NMDC Steel is also looking very good on the charts.
Okay, what else? There is strength today in a clutch of names. I think the liquor companies have done very well for themselves. Piccadilly Agro is up 5%. Allied Blenders 6.6% up in trade. Radico Khaitan is up 1.2% as well. I wonder if United Spirits too has done okay, because everybody said that the quarter notwithstanding, the outlook ahead for some of these look very strong. Kunal, I can spot 2 or 3 in the green, and 2 of them well and truly in the green, which is Piccadilly Agro, Allied Blenders. Any thoughts on the charts on some of these?
Yeah, I think Radico is something which is looking very strong on the chart. Yes, yesterday we had a session where we saw some selling pressure around that 2,500 mark. But I think we would eventually surpass this level as well and go towards 2680 on the upside. So Radico is something which is looking very good. Have a buy on dip approach in the stock since the market is still volatile. The 20-day moving average for the stock is placed at 2150. So 21 till 2300 where it is currently trading till 2250 to 240 could be a good buying zone. Keeping a stop loss of 2140 on the downside and looking for 2680 on the upside.
Okay, so Radico Khaitan is on the list for Kunal Shah. But, I'm wondering, Kunal, if you're looking at any of the auto companies, M&M has had a good rebound, but not really too many of its other peers. Would you look at any of the auto names right now?
I think just for a pullback, I could look at Tata Motors at the current levels. That looks interesting to me. The stock needs to sustain above the 885 mark, currently trading at 878. So it will be a conditional buy that if it surpasses 885, one can initiate a long position in Tata Motors and look for targets of 910 to 920 on the upside. So that this is something where it has entered into the oversold territory. At least a meaningful pullback rally could be seen from the current levels.
Okay, Sudarshan, chemical numbers up there and not looking bad at all. Revenues up 16% year on year. EBITDA is up 44%. Let's pull up the intraday. Are you seeing a bit of a spike there? It's come off fairly quickly, but the first cut of the numbers looks pretty decent. Net profit up 67% at 29.9 crores. But to financials in focus today, Bandhan Bank reported a 31% profit uptick in its numbers. We spoke to MD and CEO Ratan Kumar Kesh on the quarter gone by. Listen in.
See, even in this quarter, if you see, my secured book has gone up from 42.9% to 47%. So our stated strategy is to move more secured. So therefore, while micro book will grow at 10 to 12% depending on how the market behaves, quarter 3, quarter 4 are generally better quarters for us. So micro book will still grow at 10 to 12%, as I said. But the retail has grown 90%, commercial 40%, and housing has grown 17%. Now, some of these products in the more secured book will continue to grow. So we will grow the secured book.
Okay, so Bandhan had a good day, 9.5% on the stock. IDFC First Bank, not too much. The lender posted its second quarter earnings where asset quality took a hit, especially in the microfinance segment. It hit their profits as well. Listen in to what MD and CEO V. Vaidyanathan had to say.
So this was a bit of a freak incident that happened because, the concerned state government made toll free. So our client for entry and exit out of Mumbai, and our client got stuck in the midst of this. It's a force majeure incident that happened. By the way, this client, our exposure was 1,100 crores when we started maybe 5 years ago at the time of merger. This was an account coming from pre-merger times. It came down to 500 crore, but or 480 crore. But last, it was still paying. But now, because of this incident, we know they can't service the account now. And we never know when the state government is going to settle this issue with the client, etc. So we didn't want to be hostage for the future profitability of the future quarters. So we took it all upfront. We've taken 100% provision for that account. And that took the profit down by 250 crores this quarter.
Well, in different ways and forms, I think asset quality challenges have cropped up for banking names. And I think maybe one of the reasons why a larger bank might be preferred as well, that accidents, if happen, that the book size is large enough for those accidents to be cushioned and form a very small part of the book. For a lot of not so large banks, it's turning out to be a bit of an issue.
But this is
prudent accounting.
Prudent accounting that they've taken the hit up front, but it's also a great example of how politics, elections hit businesses firsthand. So the state government he's talking about is the Maharashtra government, where all tolls have been waived ahead of the polls, which will take place on November 20th. Great news for people living in Mumbai, right? All 5 exit and entry points have now no toll. Yeah. It's become a force majeure. That means an unseen calamity of sorts for the company running it. The bank has had to take a hit. So you might be enjoying not taking the toes, but if you were an investor in IDFC first, you'd be hit in a different way. So which is that direct line is so clear in this kind of an example.
Most certainly. And it's been different for different banks, but clearly some of these have gotten hit. What else? I mean, so one is, of course, we spoke about liquor company. The other one, Vijay, very quickly, is the wind power companies, and Inox Wind, very solid numbers, up 5%. It's carried Suzlon along with it. Any thoughts here?
Well, I think that, just a sec. I think that, I feel the stock is still a bit expensive and there are other options available in the market. So why go for companies which are expensive? So I think that, with such a high PE of close to 150, I won't be a buyer in Inox Wind. When you have if you want to invest in power companies, go for Tata Power. That's a great company. Even a company like Genius Power looks good. Even companies like PFC, PTC, these are great companies. And, power transmission is also a big business, and, it is as responsible a business as power generation. So I think that, although I like the renewable energy space, but again, why go for expensive companies? I would rather go for companies which look much better on the balance sheet and much cheaper.
Okay. All right. One company which is definitely looking robust on the balance sheet is Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Their numbers out today, and you're seeing the uptick in the stock because of the kind of numbers that have come through. Net profits 1,122 crores, over double actually. Total income up 72%. More details with Shalibhadra Shah, the CFO of Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Mr. Shah, great to speak with you here on NDTV Profit. Let's begin with the quarter gone by. This is the highest ever revenue you've clocked in first half, I believe.
Good afternoon. Hi, that's right. So while this is one of the highest ever quarterly profit and even the half yearly profit the group has achieved in the first half of this financial year, where our profit is actually 1,242 crores, which is actually up about 123% on a year-on-year basis. In fact, last quarter while was also one of the highest ever quarter in Q1, but this is another high where even quarter-on-quarter basis, sequentially our profit growth is 22%. So it's sparkling Diwali for the numbers and the highest ever profit that we have achieved.
When people are having a very rough Q2, but for this I think this segment, and of course for Motilal Oswal it's a different story altogether, but for the capital market segment it's a different story. I'm just trying to understand, Mr. Shah, that when your weekly expiries reduce, Bank Nifty and the Bank X goes out of play, and with the kind of squeeze which is coming in on the futures and options side, are you seeing any possible hit in volumes, etc.?
So those regulatory changes have been announced and they are being implemented in phase-wise fashion. So market was expecting they may get implemented in one shot, but I think the regulator has taken a calibrated call and has actually implemented these changes over next few months. So suddenly there would be a bit of change in the overall options volume, because if one of the major expiries goes off, industry is estimating there could be a bit of impact on that option volumes as far as the retail play in options is concerned. However, we can't predict the retail behavior given the very, very strong tailwinds of retailization in the equity markets and the digital play which has happened over last many years. So we've seen a lot of regulatory changes have come, and they have been overall a positive impact for medium to longer term for the industry per se, where serious customers would come in the market, and overall we would see more healthy customers coming in. So there could be immediate jittery impacts of that, but we believe it would settle in due course. And again, you can't predict a retail behavior, so that would get adjusted as this keeps on coming in.
Right. Shalibhadra, good afternoon. Niraj here. Your margins have come high despite the fact that employee expense has shown a very sharp uptick, right? 45% uptick in employee expense. So what's happened here for the employee expense to go up the way it has? And despite that, I know financial company, you don't look at operating margins, but humor me, despite that, if you've clocked in such high operational metrics, can these improve further?
Yeah. So as far as the talent investment is there, the company has been continuously investing in a lot of talent, and I would say in last 12 months, actually, more than 350 senior employees have joined the company. So it's a function of investing in senior talent, which the company is undergoing, whether it is in terms of our private wealth management business, where we continue to invest in our relationship managers. The RM count is now touched 585 RMs and is up almost 28% on a year-on-year basis in terms of the RM count. Further, we have been investing in our asset management business as well as the housing finance business, where people investment continue to grow. Even on our investment banking side, we have been expanding the team, given that we are getting a lot of mandates. The order book is growing. We are again coming back in that space with very, very sharp growth in the revenues. And also, it is a function of growth in the ESOP expenses, which is there because the company has also granted higher employee stock options in last 12 months to a lot of senior employees who have joined. So it's a function of investment in talent, which we continue to do. And at the same time, operating leverage is already started coming in, because if you look at our margins, they have expanded by almost about 300 basis points on a year-on-year basis. So overall operating leverage is very strong. So while absolute growth in the revenue is also very sharp, because almost all businesses have grown between 50 to 60% in the revenue growth, and people cost has grown by about 45%. So still it has led to overall operating leverage for the firm even in this quarter.
Now, not too much time with you, Mr. Shah, but let me ask you, everything's doing great except your housing finance segment. Are you hoping for a turnaround there?
So housing finance is also coming back on track, actually. The disbursement growth is pretty strong there. Our disbursements have grown by almost about 120% on a YOY basis. So we have invested in the talent again on the sales side here, and our sales RM count is actually up by almost 85% on a YOY basis. So the investment in sales would lead to further improvement in our disbursement curve, which would actually result in the higher revenues and profitability in this segment. Already we are seeing the revenue growth and the EOM growth already happening, and once the investment continues to be more productive in the coming periods, we would see the profitability growth also coming in line with those.
So you have 94 lakh clients now, 13,300 employees. How do you aim to close the financial year on those two metrics?
So I think so investment in talent continues to grow, as I was talking about, because as the group is expanding and each of the businesses are actually, all the cylinders are firing at the same time, and it is a very well diversified play. So we expect this client base to grow, because this client base is also a function of, a lot of folios getting added on our AMC side, because that business is outperforming the entire sphere and has been biggest beneficiaries given our very, very strong performance on our products. So we are expecting a lot of folios addition to happen there, because we've added almost 12 lakh folios in a quarter. That's a very sharp rise, and that is leading to the overall client base in upticking to almost 94 lakh. So while we're not guiding on the overall end result of FY25, but we expect very, very strong contours of addition of the customers, both on our retail broking platform and our asset management platform. In terms of the employees, so we have been investing, as I spoke about, and these investments would continue to uptake. So I think the more investments is toward the senior talent, which is coming in our private wealth business and investment banking and so on. So in terms of the count, it will not grow so fast, but I think more from a senior management, we are adding the entire sphere.
One more small question is, what are the formal growth targets that you're laying out, if you have, let's say for FY25 and 26? Is there a formal target that you're giving on terms of percentage of growth?
So while we're not putting out those guidances of the growth,
okay, so
I
no
think
formal guidance, but rough estimate, I mean, broadly.
So I think you can see our run rate of growth. Last decade, our total profit has grown by 42% CAGR. Yeah, last 1 year, I would say FY24 was almost about 38% growth. This year, we are already at about overall 53% growth in our operating profit. So I think it's very, very sharp run rates of growth that we are seeing, and even sequentially, the growth rates are rising, because as I spoke about, sequential growth is also 22% in our total profit. So I think the base is getting expanded. So I think that's what we stand for at this juncture.
Okay, thank you so much, Shalibhadra Shah, CFO, Motilal Oswal Financial Services. They're speaking about a stellar quarter. Like he says, Diwali's arrived early in the dealing rooms. And as long as the retail investor participation continues, definitely it will. But the larger Q2 factor then continues to be concerned. Thank you so much, Mr. Shah, for joining us today. A pleasure, as always, to speak with you. Vijay Chopra, capital market play is where the gravy train is still very much on.
Can you reframe your question? I didn't understand, Tamanna.
Capital market play looking good to you?
Well, I think that I've been in the markets for over 3 decades now, and God willing, I'll be for another 3 decades. Capital market play, for sure, the kind of additions we have seen in the number of customers, all these brokers, and as I said about CDSL, whatever the market goes up, goes down, capital market companies or related companies make money. So Motilal Oswal is one of the better companies in the entire space. I think that I really respect the kind of profits they have posted. So congratulations to them. But I think that, these companies would be multi-baggers in the next 10 years, because if at all the kind of additions we have seen in the last 4 or 5 years, even if we do half the additions in the number of customers and the way people have started participating either through mutual funds, directly or indirectly in equities, I think that capital market related companies would do very, very well in the next 10 years. So for sure, in a dip, these are companies which one should buy.
We'll let you go. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time. Kunal, before we let you go, your top closing strategy.
Yeah, I think over here I'll focus on Hudko. I think the stock is looking good for a decent rally in the near term. If you look on a technical chart, it has been forming a positive divergence. So at least a pullback rally towards 220 can be expected from the current levels. So Hudko would be a buy from the current levels, keeping a stop loss of 199 and looking for targets of 212 to 220 on the upside.
Okay, Kunal, so that's one. Two, I didn't ask you this, but very quickly, a thought on Inox and Suzlon. Both of them have done very well today.
Yeah, I think Suzlon, if I talk about, yes, the chart structure is looking very stable at the current levels. The stock has taken support around the mark of 66, 65. So I think a very strong support from the current levels. The risk to reward ratio is also favorable. I can expect this rally to extend towards first is 78 and second is 84 on the upside. So Suzlon could be a buy from the current levels.
Okay. Okay, Kunal, we'll let you go on that note. Thanks so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time. Before we start wrapping up the markets, here out a view from Manav Chopra, Director of Technical Research at Nuvama Institutional Equities, on what is looking good and what is not.
See, the NBFCs in such markets, where you see some bit of markets getting weakened in the broader space, NBFCs usually gets hit equally. Barring few names, but largely I think NBFC, the structure still remains quite weak. I haven't seen any bit of a recovery. There might be a short squeeze bounce, but not that I'm expecting a good, meaningful buy and hold kind of a scenario coming for the NBFC's name. So when we're looking at the financial Nifty chart in general, it's been quite range bound only because of some private banks holding the guns, but largely if the bank Nifty is in a range of say 5,500 to 52,500, and that has just been the savior from the private banks. So my sense is that the NBFCs would be an avoid, but certain private banks you might just want to have that place to hide in, nothing like a aggressive buy and hold.
Which are those apart from ICICI?
So at the moment it's ICICI and HDFC Bank, which looks fine, but the broader construct even in the other private names are on the weak foot.
Right, that's Manav Chopra, of course, with his thoughts as well. But let's start wrapping up the markets. It's not been a bad day. You're not ending in the highs of the day, which is the complaint. But be that as it may, I think the intraday of the Nifty will be interesting because we're now just 0.7% higher. At a point of time, we were doing very well. So there's a bit of a pullback. No, this is the VIX, which is fine, which is cooling off, which is great. But that's the index, and as Tamanna is pointing.
Not too much of a complaint.
Yeah, I mean, relative to what you've done the whole of last week, this is music to the ears. So really good. Just advance decline once, and then I'll just quickly mark the heat map. The market breadth has looked solid, which is a great sign. So good steady move today. And the heat map will show you financials like ICICI Bank and Shriram Finance up there, but Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports too. I think both of them were doing very well today. And there's a bit of flavor of IT there. Adani Ports is 2.5% higher, and then Wipro high. M&M Eicher bringing up the auto pack. So fairly broad base, save for Coal India and Bajaj Auto, Tamanna, not too many complaints.
So autos overall, apart from an M&M, because Bajaj Auto, Hero Moto, all of them feeling a bit of pain, little more red than when we started the show. But again, the kind of profit booking that we've been seeing, this is halfway decent. Interesting to see the DI and the FI number. Has there been some relief coming in today? Let's quickly pull up the broader markets, what the mid-cap and the small-cap indices are doing at close. And has the Bank Nifty also come off? I'd be curious to see. A bit, you're okay actually. You're not too bad on the small-cap 250 either. You've not really come off the day's best levels. But let's look at the Bank Nifty. And wow, Niraj has had a long day.
Very long.
Too much Diwali partying, Niraj,
can be harmful for health.
It's harmful for health. Bank Nifty, though, is feeling no harm today as well, at all. Let's pull up the top losers and gainers on the BSE 500 or the NSE 500. Take a look at what's happening there. Interglobe has had no respite. Cloudy skies over there. This is the result of their Q2 numbers, which is showing some pain there. But overall, not bad on the upside. Indian Bank has had a fantastic move. Bandhan Bank, because of numbers. Poonawalla of FinCorp, I would say, is the rebound master of the day. And Vodafone has been buzzing since morning. I'm not very sure why. But a lot of financials there in that list, which reflects the market move. Some big numbers post markets close today. So Bharti Airtel one we'll definitely watch out for. And hopefully we carry this mood back into trade tomorrow as well.
Yeah, cross fingers for that. Maybe the Diwali week usher in the much needed respite. But with that, it's a wrap on this leg of India Market Close. Thanks so much for tuning in.
What I want to understand from you is, how is sustainability playing its role in material selection now?
Actually, a very pertinent question, somewhat related to our work also. We look at materials with low carbon footprint and low embodied energy. So we feel as much as material, if possible, can be locally sourced. That's been one of the parameters when you come at the SDG goals also. Of course, it can't really happen in all the projects, and to what Abhishek mentioned, we have a projects of a very different scale, but at least in smaller projects, I think the way forward should be to really locally source the material. What does it mean? Materials which are available in 15 to 30 kilometer radius, that is what is a good practice, so that the amount of cost in transportation is just spikes up the carbon embodied energy. So there are projects where you can do, and India has abundant materials. When you also mentioned about natural materials, India has abundance of materials. So whether it is stone or earth, and you mix it up with different components to make them stabilize, to make it into building products, it is still possible. We do it at a level which is possible. It also gives employment to local labor, which is also part of the sustainability aspect. Yes, but to an extent, when you talk about large projects, of course, it cannot happen. And to picking up on what Abhishek mentioned, if the materials become, which I mentioned earlier also, if the materials can become modular, scalability when I mentioned. So if materials are precast, if they are modular, if they're cut to size, however of the work can happen at the factory, so that at the site, the large amount of work and energy required to put it out there, if that can also be minimized, it will make the projects much faster, which is also one way to look at sustainability at a much larger level.
Abhishek Sumari, before I ask you this next question, I want to admit I have this really bad habit of scrolling through Instagram reels. And I was doing that and I came across something really fascinating. People are 3D printing their houses. In what ways do you think these advancements in technology, such as 3D printing or large format slabs, they are impacting projects in India?
So I'm not an expert on 3D printing, but yes, the kind of technology advancements which have happened across industries is very fascinating. I remember, I can talk of my sector, we used to silk screen print the tiles, and now the printing technology has moved leaps and bounds where it's almost like a digital printer, kind of a 3D digital printer, where instead of putting in a paper for that printer, we're putting in a tile. And on the other side, it comes up with various kinds of designs and thicknesses and indentations, so we can actually achieve surfaces. So for example, a flamed granite look, if you had to flame a granite and make an undulated surface, that earlier was not available. But today we can easily do it with the printing technology. That is one advancement. The other advancements which are happening across the globe, there are kinetic tiles available now, where there are glazes on the tile. This was used for, the first time it was used a couple of years ago for the Tour de France cycling phenomena which happens in the world. They had put these tiles on where the start and finish line were, and it was generating electricity every time somebody stepped on it and walked on it. Another advancement in tiles which we're hearing is coming up is they're going to be solar chips embedded in the glazes, wherein if tomorrow if you're going to do a ventilated facade, you could actually generate a little bit of electricity from the tile. Obviously not like a solar panel, but maybe a fraction of that, but at least it would aid towards reducing your cost of electricity. So lots of advancements happening. Currently what we see in India is not both of those. What we see in India is the big slabs and how we are able to mimic with complete accuracy any fabric, any stone or any wood for that matter.
But do you see that happening in the future, in the near future?
It's already happened. It's a question of getting the cost down for it to become affordable. Right now it's already there, but it's too expensive. But it's a question of time.
And Siddharth, there is India, our country is such a diverse country, and it is climatically diverse, it is culturally diverse. I want to understand from you, how does the cultural and climatic diversity in India influence the choice of materials that we use?
So India has, you're right, very diverse cultural zones from, if you go span from north to south. Languages, the way you even dress up, that changes because of the cultural diversity and especially the climate. India, I think, has about...
And the houses.
And of course the houses. So India has about, if I remember, it has about 18 climatic zones. So it has an n number of climatic zones if you divide it further. And of course, architecture and material plays a very, very important role. So for example, you can't really do a glass box building into something like, you can say, in Rajasthan. So that's not really the relevant practice. So what I mean by that is the climatic response to architecture is very important, and hence the selection of materials. So if you are in Rajasthan, stone will play a very important role, or even how to build the houses or build the buildings. The U values will come into play. Insulation will still be very important, whether you're working in the hills or working at the sea. So this climatic diversity creates the architecture, especially in our projects. Again, you will not really be finding brick in the south, whereas brick is a predominant building material in the north. So to add to this, I feel in today's context, again, if you are, of course, because at real estate you're building in volumes, I still feel the best practices is still to do the right shading to give response to the every climatic direction, depending on which climate you are in and which zone you are in. And I still feel whether it is an old material which is still there like a brick or a stone, or whether these are the new advancement of materials such as tiles and all, I feel how you can really integrate that material into your architecture by really working with solar shading, by working with devices which can cut the sun and allow the light. I think it can, and we've seen it worldwide, it can still give very dramatic solutions to really like very bespoke different architecture. So I'm not saying that just because you have to follow the old material, it will become a very old vernacular kind of architecture. I think a very modern, contemporary, crisp architecture can be created, even using the wisdoms of these climatic zones and the kind of materials, whether new age or old age, we can mix it. I think there is still a huge amount of possibility going forward.
All right, before we let you go, my final question to both of you. What advice would you give to young architects in India, especially about experimenting with new materials, also at the same time staying true to the local context? Starting with you.
Starting with him.
So as I just mentioned, I think the way the Indian education is probably, especially in architecture, if you're asking me as an architect, I think there is no focus on materials. I think that comes last. There is not a lot of practicing architects which are involved in the education sector, academics. And even when we come out as young architects, I think there should be a lot of forum and engagements where the exposure to the materials can happen. I struggle even in office where I need to really, and you are part of this, I really need to ensure that this young generation, young architects should get exposed to the kind of materials which are on offer. So I think it depends us as practicing architects and even working with building industry, how to ensure that a lot of this wisdom goes to these young architects. They can really pick it up. I think some are already doing it, but some should do it by really ensuring all these engagements keep on happening and they get exposed to the kind of possibilities of material which are there in the market now.
For us, I think it's the advice is use material made in India. The more you use it, the more industry will grow, the more industry will become more competitive. So we are a big believer. I think a lot of brands have tried to take a dig on Made in India, but we're probably one of the only brands which have been around for 53 years now, and we've been 100% made in India. In fact, our latest range, which is a range called Colorado, we've taken inspiration from all the colors of Colorado are inspirations from large buildings, historical buildings, namely from Jodhpur, from Jaipur, from parts of South India, temples, palaces, etc. So we're a large believer in Made in India, and my advice would be as much as Made in India one can do. If it's available in India, a product is available in India, please use Indian material, nothing but Indian material, whatever that may be.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Abhishek Somani and Siddharth Talwar. Thank you for this fabulous conversation, and thank you for being a part of the NDTV Real Estate Conclave.
right, let's start with the smashing news. Bollywood actor Amitabh Bachchan and his son Abhishek Bachchan have bought apartments worth 25 crore rupees in Oberoi's Realty Mulund project. I'm sure they already have thousands of crores of property with them. Radhika Merchant's mother, Shaila Merchant, has purchased a sea-facing luxury apartment in South Mumbai in Prestige Ocean Tower. Now, closer to us in Gurgaon, luxury projects like the Arbor have made headlines, selling 8,000 crore rupees worth of inventory or apartments in common language in just 3 days. Now, another point, very important one, Nikhil Kamath, who had been advocating just renting a home, has actually decided or shifted his stance and bought a luxury apartment in Bengaluru very recently. So India's housing market is riding a wave of very strong demand despite rising prices. Developers continue to strike land deals despite prices of land rising dramatically as well. Now, why are India's property markets hotter than ever? And how long will this rising wave continue? Let's get some answers from my expert guest today. I have with me on my left, Rajan Bandelkar, Vice Chairman, Naretco, Amit Goyal, Managing Director, India Sotheby's International Realty, Vikram Tanwar, Founding Director and CEO of Nitara Projects, and Vikas Dua, Founder and Director of Chintamani. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. We will give the first question to our outstation guest who's come from Mumbai to Delhi. Rajan, I have never seen this kind of excitement, and this is across all segments, middle class, upper middle class, and the truly wealthy at the top, including the startup founders that we just spoke about. What is happening?
First of all, Manisha, thank you. See, if you see a real estate market, because I am in the industry from last 4 decades, so the industry is like waves. It comes up, goes down, then comes up. But unfortunately, the market was practically flatter, or rather it went down. From 2013 to 2021, almost 8 years. Thanks to Corona, because I keep on telling every time, because you just told that Nikhil Kamath, who was advocating on being on rental housing, rather than he bought his own apartment.
Right.
So Corona has made that change into all Indian people, and especially the people like you, the homemakers. Today I keep on telling, if you ask any lady, aapko sona jawra de do ya ghar de do, so she chooses home. So we all, thanks to all you women, and that too also you might have seen all the governments.
So all the excitement in the real estate market and residential is because of the women. They want a home.
Of course, and see that why it is, my point is proved. Majority of the governments have given 1%, 2% rebate on stamp duty. See, that's add to my point. No doubt, I don't advocate. Whatever is going on is not good for the industry. Let me be very honest, because...
Can you repeat that in a little bit louder words? Not good for the industry.
People in the industry, people don't like me because I'm very blunt. Because, see, rising price is like मीठा है. आप जितना मीठा खाओगे, तो no doubt आपको बीमारी आने वाली है. So, my humble submission to each and every developer. Why I am telling you submission? Because, Manisha, majority of the developer, I don't tell each and everyone because somebody may not like it, I'm telling them, majority of the developers sell only 10% of their inventory at a higher price. If you see, by the time the price rise happens, only we sell 10% or 15% or 20% maximum
Which you keep
inventory.
for the last.
Yeah, but when we go and take, because our raw material is land, so when we go and buy a new land, the landowner says, नहीं आप तो 25,000 में बेच रहे हो और आपको कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट, भले हमको 5, 6, 7 हजार आता होगा, वो तो 3,000 गिनता है. बोला कि आपको तो 3,000 कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट आ रहा है, बाकी तो सारा आपका मुनाफा है, मुझे इतने पैसे दे दो. So that's the vicious circle. But today, why it is happening? See, the people who are age-old people, if you see in the industry, majority of them stopped buying lands. They either do JV, JD or DM, that they do it. But the corporates who have come new, so उन्होंने अभी तक उसका उन्होंने सारा अच्छा ही देखा हुआ है, बिकॉज जितने भी कॉर्पोरेट आए वो पोस्ट रेरा आए, प्री रेरा वहाँ पे कॉर्पोरेट थी नहीं, बिकॉज रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री शुड बी लुक एट 2 एंगल्स, प्री रेरा एंड पोस्ट रेरा. तो आज कॉर्पोरेट्स आने से ये चल रहा है, एंड everybody is enjoying.
Everybody is enjoying.
Yeah.
But I think what you've mentioned, and Vikram, I'll come to you, what Mr. Bandelkar has mentioned is that all the rise has been post-COVID. So ऐसा लग रहा है कि market has become very hot, right? But अगर आप 2013-14 से लेके 2020 तक देखें, literally मोरीबंद हो गया था, and post-demonetization तो it had in some markets it had also come down. But do you agree that runaway prices are not good for real estate or for developers? Till what point will you continue to buy land as land prices go up?
Manisha, thank you very much for having me here, first of all. So, जो prices हैं उनका मैं बोलूँगा direct relation है customer के confidence से. Buying a home is the largest or the biggest decision any person can take in their life, whether it is financial or emotional decision. So during last few years, that confidence has increased. उसी की वजह से there is a beeline for in all the offices of developers, and वो confidence जो है उसके multiple reason हैं. रेरा आने के बाद में there is a confidence increase. Infrastructure जैसे develop हो रहा है उसकी वजह से there is a confidence increase. इंडिया एज ए कंट्री जैसे ग्लोबल मार्केट्स में परफॉर्म कर रहा है, हमारी जीडीपी जितना अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रही है, उसकी वजह से बायर दे आर वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट दैट दे शुड हैव अ होम, और उसकी वजह से ही देयर इज अ डिमांड. सो दिस डिमांड इज एक्चुअली ट्रिगरिंग द प्राइस हाइक. बट फॉर श्योर अगर करेक्शन आता भी है, घर तो चाहिए. सो घर चाहिए तो देयर विल बी अ डिमांड फॉर श्योर.
करेक्ट.
So I think this is the price increase, whether there will be a correction or not, but demand will be there, and that's a fantastic opportunity for every developer.
For every developer. All right. Amit, as an advisor to, of course, the top end of the market, which is the HNIs, but you have a deep perspective of what's happening in India's real estate. Are there pockets which are hot? And therefore, we believe all of India, all top 7 cities, all markets are doing well. Or there is pent-up demand which we are seeing today, which is making this bull run seem very strong. What's your view?
You're right, Manisha. So there is a lot of liquidity. The strong economic, macroeconomic factors are really playing a role where people are wanting to buy good homes, upgrade their homes. And in terms of my view on the way forward, I think it's all about demand and supply dynamics. Those dynamics indicate that the demand remains robust and the supply is lesser, because a lot of inventory has been taken up, has been picked up by home buyers in the last 3 years when market has seen good run, as my co-panelist Rajan also said. Given the low inventory levels, especially in the luxury segment where we operate, I see, whether it is new IPOs coming or the stock market performance, these are, reasons where there is excessive liquidity in the system, and that liquidity is going into people upgrading their homes and also investing in properties. So all these, 2021, prior to 2021, for about 8-9 years, we saw investor demand slowing down, and mostly end users were coming and buying properties. But in the last 3 years, we've seen more and more investors coming back into the real estate space and investing. In fact, we do a survey, and this year our survey findings were that 44% of the investors who invested into real estate in the last 1 year, actually their primary reason was investment besides other factors, right? So that indicates that investor is back into the real estate market. They are optimistic about the future. They're optimistic on the price appreciation, capital appreciation, and also rentals have been growing.
Rentals have also caught up. So
Absolutely.
that's another thing. No, you're right. I mean, I cannot believe that Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan don't already own at least 1,000 crore worth of real estate, but they've still invested in some more flats from a quality developer. Because let me come to you. You're in a market which is one of the hottest. When we talk about the fact that, okay, some are hot markets, some are good markets, but most markets are doing well in top 7 cities, but some are really hot, and Dwarka Expressway is one of them. Do you believe that it's pent-up demand? And because there is not that much supply, that prices are going up? Or do you feel that there is some एस्पेक्ट ऑफ, वो कहते हैं ना, हमारे हिंदी में एक कहावत होती है, बहती गंगा में हाथ धो लेते हैं. अब आ ही रहा है बायर, तो हम बिल्डर है, थोड़ा अभी कर लेते, बढ़ा लेते. वी डोंट नो अबाउट फ्यूचर वेदर इट रिमेन द सेम और नॉट. व्हाट्स हैपनिंग?
Well, Manisha, although I'm a strong advocate of that, we developers, ourselves being the developers, we should not aim for appreciations. Our job is to buy in hectares and convert those hectares into constructed, developed, fully developed square feet areas. And our bottom line should only be generated from that value addition job that we are doing.
That's
that core area we should focus to, stick to. But yeah, once in a while, such spurts are more than welcome. It serves as a booster dose for revival and sustenance. And as far as the conversation going on as if there's a big boom which has already happened in the industry is concerned, I don't think so. It has just come up from the undervalued levels to fairly valued now, by now.
Oh, you think right now it's fairly valued? Dwarka Expressway is now ranging between what? Amit, give me the price. 12,000 to 20 पहुंच क्या होगा?
Correct. How does it matter? How does it matter?
It matters because it's becoming unaffordable. No, but here's my very solid question, and a more pointed question for which I would seek an answer. At some point, what some of the experts tell me is that yes, there is demand, so developers like you will continue to buy land vikas, right? But there will be a point where you will do your math and say, now it's too expensive, and we don't feel that there will be demand, and the land deals will stop. Do you think we are close to that, or do you think that's a far away, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into the future? What's your take?
Allow me to be candid here. Though it has doubled, the land prices having been doubled or a little more than that, or even in past 2 years, more so in Dwarka Expressway, and the hotter beds have commanded more premium, more appreciations happening. But उसको अगर हम आज भी कंपेयर करें, what does that 30 crore rupees translate to per acre? It's only 60,000 rupees per square yard, which is 1/9, 1/10 the price of average Delhi plot. So that's the room going forward. Even E grade, D grade, E grade places in Delhi, the land prices are much more. And the average place is 8, 9, 10 times more than Dwarka Expressway. So there is a room. I'm a strong advocate that, yeah, though we should command premium at the times when God permits us to, but we should always keep on buying more land. The more units we sell, we should cover up in buying land. As Rajan Bhai was earlier telling us that by the time we sell, and as we were able to sell at higher rates, only some 10-15% of the inventory. Hence, we are unable to buy the land in the next round of things. So if we don't want that to happen to us, we should be fairly quick.
So you're saying that keep accumulating land because times are good and you feel that they're still much cheaper than, let's say, Delhi. Amit, I'll move that way now. So real estate is cyclical, we all know that. At least that's the way it's behaved in the past. It's about a 7-year cycle. Let's assume that we started in 2021. We are in 2024, so we are 3 years into the cycle. Do you believe that because there's a pivotal shift in India's economic blocks, that this rally in real estate could be longer? Or do you think that we will follow that 7 years, which means another 4 years of good times left?
That's a great question, Manisha. And I would be optimistic that yes, 7 years and perhaps longer this time, because all the factors are in the positive zone, whether it is capital markets performance, stable government, robust consumption within India, right? So we are consuming, whether it is data, automobile, pharma, most of the productions. Overall, global investors, they are looking at India in a big way, very positive way, because they see, again, stability of governance, countries full of enterprising people, right? There is consumption within India, within the country. We are able to consume quite a lot. So considering all of it, I feel the interest rate cycle is again something which is going to be favorable. Interest rates may soften in the years to come. So all of it may make all the reason for this cycle to continue maybe 7, 8, 9 years, if not longer.
Why are the rich buying so much real estate? I mean, one is investment, but are there other reasons? Is it they already live in beautiful homes? So is it truly with the perspective of capital appreciation, diversification? Because they're also taking the prices up, Amit.
So it is definitely diversification as one of the key reasons. And also socio-economic factors. Psychologically, people buying homes in prime locations of the city that they live in. Branded residence, they want to buy upgraded, homes, larger, more amenities, and also buying for their future generations. So it is not just the property purchase is being done for that person who's writing the check, but also their son, daughter, more family members.
So intergenerational wealth.
Absolutely.
That's what they want to create. Absolutely. Okay. Vikram, what's your plan? I mean, is there enough? NCR market goes crazy, ये तो सबको पता है, that in bad time पटकता भी सबसे ज़्यादा है, और अच्छे time में it also goes up or it goes a little bit crazy or nuts, as they say. Investors come in very quickly because they love real estate in North India. How long do you believe that this cycle will continue? Because a lot of people that I meet keep asking me, is this the right time to buy a home? Manisha, the prices have already gone up so much. Should I wait? Do you think prices will stabilize? What should I tell them? Honest answer.
Yeah. So I'll answer this in a different